like that, yeah. I like that, yeah, yeah.
American Bully, that's the dream. From XL bullies to extreme. Pocket standing, not left behind. Bully breathing is a grind and we don't mind. Pick it up shit, face doing posting. Put in the time, we get left behind. Stand on your 2 feet, no joint in crowd. Stay grounded with 10 toes down. Some get big handy when they win at a show. Some act like Joe, plus some hype for dough. Real breeders are humble, you know. Cause they know just cause you won the class don't mean you won the show.
Just because you won the class don't mean you won the show. What is going on, guys? Welcome to Monday Bully Live. We're going to be talking about how many times should a female be bred, right? And does ethics and morals even have to play a part of it? I was actually told once by a breeder that in the wild, female wolves pretty much breed from the moment they're born till the day they die, which it really scrambled my brains because it made absolutely no sense. This dude had no notion that wolves in the wild, actually, the only ones that mate are the alpha females. And it doesn't work like once you're the alpha female forever. No, you get challenged too. So the amount of litters that an alpha female is going to be able to produce typically is between 2 and 3, mainly because she's only going to be able to maintain that alpha status at the height of her maturity, her body's maturity. As her body matures or she gets weaker or whatever, she's going to get challenged and her position is going to be taken away by another female. So just wanted to throw that out there because I actually, that's one of the questions I normally get on a weekly basis, several times, that along with color. And on top of that, you know, we're going to be talking about it. I really want to know what you guys think. You know, should a female be bred twice, 3 times, 4 times, more than 4 times? I really, really want to know. Queens New Blood says, oh, new intro. Yeah, sort of, kind of. We actually have 2 songs for the intro. That's the second song. We normally use it on a Friday Bully Talk. Shaytree saying if I was breeding my XL Bully, I would only breed her 3 or 4 times, depends. Okay. Any wild animal can and will become infertile as they get older. This is also a possibility. Well, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. And sometimes it's rough to look on the inside, right? You see, breeders have a tendency, at least in this community, they have a tendency to say something. And it's really hard when you're looking, you know, at the community and seeing how they move and seeing what they say, but really not what they do type of thing. It's really hard to give this community as a whole a lot of credibility. It really is, man. And I could understand why, you know, people are scared to death about scams and things like that, because it almost seems like 99% of the people out here, they'll say something somewhere and then not want to take any type of accountability. And I'll show you guys something that I came across this past week so you can see what I'm talking about. And you guys know I don't like bringing drama onto this platform, but I think this is good drama. Because it's no one in specific. It actually talks more about you guys as a community, or even myself as I'm part of the community, than it does in anyone in particular. So let me go ahead and bring this up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So 2 days ago, I dropped a post and it says, does the sale of Chic Brazilian Bull for $180,000 raise the bar for the American Bully XL in your eyes? Now, you guys know, if you join the lives, I've been saying that I think he does raise the bar because American Bully XLs that look mastiffy, that don't look as bulky as, say, as a Brazilian Bull like Chic, pretty much are losing value. People are not wanting that anymore. Therefore, I feel that just the fact that it's a bulkier dog, it's raising the bar. But 60% of you said no. And that was 233 votes, right? So let me do a quick math here so we can figure out how many people voted no. So 233 times 0.6, it means 140 of you don't think that he does raise the bar, which is perfectly fine because that's an opinion, right? But here's where the accountability issue comes in. This is just to show y'all what this community is, man. So I dropped it this morning. I said, okay, since 60% of you voted that the sale of the Brazilian Bull Chic doesn't raise the bar for XLs, then what dog has raised the bar for XLs in the last 5 years? And all I get is 2 comments, pretty much crickets. Big Day says, that part, I'll wait. Healthy bullies matter. It depends on what you're breeding for. I have XLs. Okay, fine. He gives me his explanation. I thank you guys for responding. My point is, out of 140 people that are saying this dog is not upping the ante, we only got 2 responses. It speaks volumes of this community. When you're able to vote and hide behind the vote, you vote. But when it's time to speak up, yeah. I'm just throwing that out there, man. I mean, no hate by it. I'm just so that we all are aware of what this community is about, right? Because I know there's a lot of hating goes on in boards and whatnot. It doesn't even have to be aimed at us. It could be aimed at anybody. My whole point is accountability, major downfall of this community. But that's not what we're here about tonight, man. We're going to be talking about how many times you breed a female. I've told in the past that I think a female should be bred no more than 4 times, right? 32 or 36 pups, right? Now I'm gonna go ahead and change that tonight. I'm gonna change it, right? We evolve, right? If you don't join the lives, if you don't watch the videos, that's fine. But you're not seeing the evolution. You're not seeing the if and the whys and the whats. So, straight up, I feel that a female can be bred as often as you like, not past 4.5 years. So, take this other part into account. She will not be bred on her first heat nor her second heat. So, what I'm really saying is she should be bred on her 3rd heat, right around the 2-year mark. And between the 2-year mark and the 4.5-year mark, the most that you could breed her is 5 times, max, period, right? Because that's if she's coming in heat every 6 months. If you have a female that's coming in heat every 4 months, man, all I can tell you is use your best judgment, right? But I'm talking in particular to XLs. They typically go in heat every 6 months. If you follow these guidelines that I just mentioned, you shouldn't be breeding her more than 5 times. If I was a breeder, my XL would only be bred 3 or 4 times. We already hit that. Okay. Jared Malero says 3 times. Okay, that's fair. The Life of Miklo, what's good, fam? We in here. All right, Miklo, number love, man. Dupree Anders, no more than 35 puppies per bitch personally. I agree. But again, I've just updated the way I'm seeing things. I'm thinking if you can only breed on her 3rd heat, by the time she's 4.5, you're going to breed no more than 5 times. And I'm calling that fair. What's up? What's up, Bruce Lane? Nothing but love for you, man. Malachi, good evening, fam. We got in Serrata. Bred my girl 3 times. I kept a bunch of daughters, so I will breed them 2 times, maybe 3. Okay. Yeah, the more females you keep, right, the less you gotta keep hitting. Also, I'll say this. If you are producing quality, if the female takes, say, 4 times in a row, there is no reason to breed her a 5th time. In fact, there probably isn't a reason to breed her a 4th time, because if you outproduce her on the first breeding, you outproduce her on the second breeding. By the time she produces on the 3rd breeding, that first litter will be 1.5 years old. You got males that can be studded, right? Because they're older than 1. And you have females that are quickly approaching that 3rd heat within the following 6 months. Therefore, really, why would you want to keep breeding to that female, right? You've now evolved to a better production, right? If everything is going right, okay? Let's see here. Queen's New Blood. Max is 4 since depending on dogs and how they contribute. What's up, Kyle?
Well, it also works the other way too. If the dog isn't giving you what you want in 2 breedings, then why are you continuing anyway? But
Absolutely.
I was going to say, I hate to bring you off topic, but I've been thinking, you think a lot of people in the community, just to play devil's advocate, aren't worried about that Brazilian bull because it is a separate breed and with its own faults as well?
I think
is that why they're not concerned with that?
I think they need to be very concerned. And the reason they need to be very concerned is because if you look at the Mastiff XLs out there, I'm telling you, man, I've been looking at them this past weekend. These Mastiff XLs that 3 years ago would have gotten 200-300 likes on a view are lucky if they're getting 40 likes on a view. Right now, even though these are Brazilian bulls, you got to realize this community, it's got 99% sheep. And so sheep love anything that's exotic, that's new, and that they think they could turn for an immediate buck. That's how this thing works.
Which they do have their own faults as well, you know, like the eyes and stuff like that I've seen. I think some of that could be.
Hold on a second. That's not a fault within the Brazilian bull standard. That's a fault within the ABKC American.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Standard. Right.
As far as how we would feel or look at the dog, that would be something that's undesirable to us, is what I'm saying.
Sure. But then you look at the dog's neck, you look at the dog's chest, you look at the conformation, you look at just about everything else, and it's blowing Mastiff XLs out the water. If it's the eyes, this thing could be fixed.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Right now, there's a shift, whether we like it or not. There's a shift in the tide. There's been a major shift. If you go back 3 years ago, people breeding big breeders, breeding American Bully XLs, these Mastiff tall basketball center looking dogs. Right now, why are they not producing that? They're not producing that because they've had to kind of, you know what I'm saying, fix things around to get a bulkier dog because the ante has been raised. If it's been raised for them, it's definitely been raised for you. That's it. Am I saying Brazilian bulls are perfect? I'm sure they got their faults and all that. Great. But at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, this is a designer breed, and people look at a lot of these dogs as an accessory. All right. Oh man, that dog in my yard is going to give me, you know, it's going to give me the attention I don't get, or even if they're just straight up breeders, man, it's going to bring the body type I'm looking for. Right now,
they're looking at bulk over everything right now.
Yeah. If I just drop the poll, and let me bring the poll back up and check out the second question. Okay, since 60% voted that the sale of the Brazilian bull sheep doesn't raise the bar for XLs, then what dog raises the bar for the XLs in the last 5 years? We have 2 comments. 2 comments. However, when it was time to vote, this is, you know, I hate to say it, man. I hate to say it, but this is the hater game. This is how they hate, right? Low-key hate right here. No, not really. 60% right here. No, not really. Right? Okay. I'm pretty much asking you here, explain yourself. 5 likes, 2 comments. So this is the community we're in, bro. This is the community we're in. You know what I'm saying? If we were in jail, there'd be a lot of people getting shanked. I'll tell you that right now. Because, yeah, bro, they fire away from far away. They throw that little pebble but they're behind the tree, making sure you can't tell who it is. That's how we move. That's how this community moves, bro. And, sometimes the truth hurts. I hope it really hurts so we could change a little bit, but it is what it is, man. So you got anything else?
That's all you can do is just one little baby step at a time, like we've always done. Hopefully it puts a little ripple and it'll eventually get to where we need it at.
Bro,
but
here's the thing.
Minority, bro. Not the majority.
Here's the thing, bro. The Brazilian bull movement right now is a tide that you know what I'm saying? How are you going to stop a wave, a tidal wave? You can't, right? And so everybody that's now hating it, give it about a year. And when they realize everybody around them's got a Brazilian bull, then they need a Brazilian bull. That's how this community works, bro. And, and the way they hate, the way they hate is as long as they can remain anonymous, they're going to hate on you. Right now, we got 81 people in here. Look how many likes we got. That's how they hate on you, right? People that mostly hate on you are your biggest followers because they're in here trying to listen what you got to say so they could pick up on it so they can improve their yard. But they low-key hate by not giving you a like. That's how this whole thing works.
And they won't give you the credit for it either when it comes to it.
No. You'll see their YouTube videos. They're literally copying a video we made, and they're speaking on it like word for word. But they're never going to give you credit, which is fine because I know people are smart enough to see the date I dropped the video and the date this other dude decided to copy it, right? People can figure that out. But
just
that's
a trendsetter, Raul.
Well, I must be something because, why are you copying the video? To me, it's flattering. To me, it's quite flattering. It means that, you had no other place to look but on my video to copy it. But my whole point is that's how this community moves. I started selling Nuvet. Now everybody's going to do a live. Oh, yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Nuvet. They can't even say what I have to say about Nuvet. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we got to do what he doing because, we're sheep, man. And that's how they roll. And it's all good. I'm flattered by it, man. I'm flattered by it.
By the way, ordering code 513-237.
Order code 513-237. You get 13% off if you order with auto ship. The green bottle is a multivitamin, and the blue bottle is joint support. Number love, man. Man, I've been on quite a soapbox today, huh? Love your videos, bro, says Big Rican. What's up, man? You have fire bullies. Number love, Papi. Shea Tree, Hollywood. Rocco, says the life of Miklo. Jose Hernandez, good evening, Bully fam. We got in Serrata. If you're OFA testing, you often need to wait till fourth heat. As for permanents, they would need to be 2 years old. This is correct. V. Ferreira, hit that like button, man. That's it. In Serrata, Malachi, this is true. Not sure what they talking about. What's up, Raul? Fire talk. Hey, man. You know what I stand on. And, I'm just going to speak what I stand on, man. Queen's New Blood, correct in Serrata. Most of my keepers are now just hitting 2. And I have a male I'm scheduled for OFA and need to look for a cardiac vet for testing as well. There you go. Life of Miklo, I need to go back to Raul's video on Bloodline Koi and bust out the math formulas again. Julio Santiago, good evening, fam. What's up, man? In Serrata, yeah, I don't know where to go for echoes. They do for basic OFA at the vet clinic. Some vet clinics, what they do in my neck of the woods, which is actually almost 3 hours away. That's where my vet is at. They actually have a cardiologist that comes one particular day a week. I guess he does rounds in particular regions. Cody Boone, he should raise the bar, but will people man up? You see, this is just it, Cody Boone. This is just it. You have a lot of people, right? And I've been talking about this for the last 5 years. Bro, get the breed type, get the breed type, get the breed type. So you have a lot of people that were sold a dream, paid 15, 20 grand for a dog that right now at this moment, because of that Brazilian bull, it's worthless or damn near worthless. And so now what do you do? Right? Now what do you do? And that's what's happening right now. I promise you, within 2 years, everyone and their sister is going to have Brazilian blood somewhere in their yard. I can almost guarantee that. I'm talking about the XL breeders. Jawbreed bullies, Joaquin, I've seen several top breeders down in Mexico looking for Brazilian bully studs. There you go. I'm telling you, man, that bulky look that nobody has to that extent, they're gonna bite it. They're gonna copy it. This is just the nature of the community, man. We know who's throwing pebbles from the business, cracking up. Queen says, yeah, I have to relook at the OFA website since I believe that will show the nearest vet that does the cardiac test. A farm vet near me does OFA in Ohio. There you go. Hit that like button, V Ferreira. Number love, V. Number love, V. Appreciate you, man. Dupree is cracking up. I certainly gave my like. You deserve it, Raul. Stay fresh. Bullies. I love the name. G-Line Kennel, what up, what up? V Ferreira, they trusted no other source that they could steal and copy from. It is what it is, bro. What kills me is how later on, not only are they copying, they're trying to make it seem like they're expert in the subject matter, which, bro, I would just love for them to come here live and we could go one-on-one, but they can't because a lot of times they got to go read a book first, right? That's how they roll. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. Absolutely. Man, fire back today at haters. Sometimes you got to do that, man. Sometimes you got to rattle the cage a little bit, man. Raul, let it out, man. Thank you. Thank you for the therapy, Shay. Number love. I had two female sisters turn 2, and they both went into heat before I could get them OFA. So I guess they will be bred in the fall. We got Looney Tune. What it do, Raul? What it do? Hey, man, we're doing it, man. Ella, I'm a fairly new follower. I found you looking for a solution for my bully's allergic reaction to grass and found your bats. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ella. Thanks for stopping by. Just know if you want to become a member, you could just go down to the description below for as little as $5 a month. We could have this conversation every single Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. Hugo Rosado just ordered my Nuvet for my 2 bullies. Thank you, Hugo. If you ordered Nuvet for your bullies and you have auto ship, automatically your name gets sent to me at the end of the year. We do a raffle. Whoever I pick, I don't care if you have 100 dogs, I'm going to give you Nuvet and NuJoint DS for each one of those dogs to cover you for an entire year. That's how we're going to roll with it. Yes, I said that earlier. QBN for life. Hugo Rosado coming in hot, man. Javier Noriega, haters are fans too. I know they are. I know they are. That's why every now and then it's good to give them a little kick in the behind because they want attention. So you got to give it to them, man. You know what I'm saying? Talking about attention, bro. Talking about attention. Kyle, get the music ready. Get the music ready because we bringing in my dude all the way from Brooklyn, New York. None other than Jafon's Journey. Can I get some music, Kyle? There we go. Raise it up, man. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. I just wanted to get that little. There we go. Jafon, what is up, my boy?
What's going on? What's going on? How you feeling, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing okay, man. I just let out a little steam out there, man. What you think?
I see, man. I mean, listen, I like my XL bullies, you know, but we'll get into it.
All right, man. Jafon, what you got for us today in your journey to being a breeder? Well, actually, you're already a breeder, but it's your journey of being a breeder.
Well, things align perfect from where you started to where I'm going to start at.
Okay.
The first question I want to ask you is, how do we protect the American XL bully?
How do we protect the American XL bully?
Yes.
I don't understand the question. Are you talking from a moral, ethical standpoint? Are you talking from a financial standpoint? What are you?
So all right. So I'll go into a question, right? So here's one question: should breeders be limited to specific numbers of litters a year for the ABKC?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't. I think you see, you see, that's like an iceberg, tip of the iceberg question, right? Because we're sort of kind of saying, should we regulate dog breeding, right? And if we say yes to regulating dog breeding, it's a matter of 2, 3, 5 years down the road, it's not even going to be worth breeding dogs. Because what ends up happening is we start taking orders from politicians that know nothing about breeding, and they start saying things that sound good. For example, let me give you an example. You need to have, I don't know, 200 square feet per dog. Well, you in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much means you ain't gonna be breeding. You see how quick that changes everything?
I mean, you just got to move, man. Got to get up out of there.
Well, yeah. And then pretty much breeding will only be exclusive to people that have a yard. And then they're going to look at me and they're going to be like, hey, man, how can we get Raul? Like, you know, if it happens to be a politician that's also a hater. Oh, he has 2 acres. All right, perfect. If you want to breed, you got to have 2.5 acres. Now I'm screwed. Now I got to move too. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think it should be regulated that way. The way I think, look, way back when I first started breeding, even before I started breeding American Bullies, I was breeding Old English, right? Bulldogs. And what the UKC had at the time, they had this system that you invite them over to your yard, they inspect your facility, and then if they felt that your facility checked the boxes, they would then put you on a list of like ethical breeders type of deal. And it was great because they were channeling business in your direction. That's how I feel. If you wanted to do anything like that, that's how I feel it should be done. But to regulate it and like, you know, impose it, I think you would turn off so many breeders that at the end of the day, you probably would end up doing more harm than good. I know society in general is going to be like, yeah, because, you know, breeders are painted in such a bad way because Big Pharma doesn't like breeders. Let me tell you why Big Pharma doesn't like a breeder like me. You see, you're only going to see my dogs for first shots, second round shots, rabies. Then if it's a female, you're going to get paid for a C-section, possibly for a surgical insemination. If it's a male, the following year, you're going to give him a 3-year rabies shot, and you're not going to see him again for 3 years. So you're going to have a very big issue with me consuming what you're trying to sell me. Okay. They prefer these street dogs because the business model is you go running to one of these rescues who's really a business because they might want to disguise it and call it a dog fee. I'm sorry, an adoption fee. But in reality, they picked up a dog in the street and they just put a fee on it and you're paying for it. There's a monetary transaction, right? And now you're bringing this dog home that you don't know if it's got allergies. You don't know if it's got health issues. And that's precisely what Big Pharma wants. They want Granny over here to fall in love with this dog's story, right? His name is Lucky. He's got 1 eye and 3 testicles, right? And right, and then Lucky over here, unfortunately, has kidney injuries or even worse, kidneys that don't work, and he has to go into dialysis. And here's Granny paying because she's an empty nester. She got manipulated into getting this dog that's sick. She's not forking over this money, and Big Pharma's getting paid. And that's how they love it, right? But the majority of the populace doesn't see it that way, right? Because they've had Big Pharma a lot closer to their ears and for a longer time than just my live here that we're doing today. If you see where I'm coming from. Yeah. How do you preserve the American Bully XL? The American Bully XL is still evolving. I didn't say it. I'm paraphrasing Dave Wilson that we had here, president of the ABKC. It's still in an evolution stage. Therefore, if we want to preserve or not so much preserve, but protect the American Bully XL, I think the most important thing is if you're going to breed, make sure you have demand for your puppies and make sure you have so much demand that you know they're going to a good home. That's how you protect them.
Okay. So here's my next question, right? With you explaining kind of like, you know, back in days, UKC will come see, make sure everything is ethical, make sure everything checked out.
Yeah.
Should breeders need license to breed from the ABKC? So should they have a check-off list, like you said, and, you know, to even get the license to breed?
Okay. So here's the thing, right? And I hope people don't get upset with what I'm saying, but all right, Jafan, I know you're a newer breeder. You need to understand the psychology of this community. You have to understand its pulse. You have to understand what makes it move and what makes it shift, right? This community does not like anything to be imposed on them, right? The minute you say, you got to have a premium pedigree, otherwise you can't breed, now people are turned off by that. But instead, you come out with a premium pedigree, and now people are paying an extra $2,500 for it. Now Jafan is scratching his head, and he's like, for real? You're going to get paid that type of money for that? Now I want it. You see what I'm saying? The end result is the same, but the way that you get people to get there there's two different roads. So, yeah, I don't think enforcing a license or anything like that would be the way to go. I think if the ABKC would make visits to your yard, check off the boxes and put you on an exclusive ethical breeders list, everyone and their mother's going to want to be on that list. You see what I'm saying? Now everybody's motivated to strive for that.
Okay. So, yeah, so these questions right now are falling under the topic of, well, for me, how to protect the American XL Bully, right?
Okay, so, fair enough.
My next question, with the breed, what you have in the Brazilian Pit Monster and the breed prop, mainly trying to get away from the Mastiff.
Yes.
Should the breed do a reset? And not within its standard, but within how the dogs are bred.
I think, I'll be honest with you, Jafan, the community doesn't want to admit it, right? Because you got a lot of people here that bought XLs 2 years ago before the Brazilians, became a thing. Okay. So they're the majority. But I think the fact that the Brazilian is in the room and is the one that's garnering the most attention at this point, I think that the reset has already started, bro. Ooh. It's already here. The bar has been raised to the point that if you bought an XL 2 to 3 years ago, that dog's demand is nowhere close to a Brazilian like Sheik. Think about it, bro. Sheik has ABKC paperwork under American Bully XL. And Dave Wilson said what's already been done has been done. So who's going to jump in the ring with that bad boy?
Nobody don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke.
And you could see it already just on a post. Could you imagine when it's time to go in the ring?
Yeah, they don't want the smoke. They definitely don't want the smoke. And
that's your answer.
I'll say this. One of my friends, he hit me up the other day, right? So he has an XL, and he's just like, my yard is going in a different direction. So I'm like, well, where's it going? He's like, well, I'm looking at the Brazilian stuff. And I'm just like, so you going to give up your mail? And he like, yeah, man, the people want what they want. And I was just like, man, that's crazy. Like, what?
Adam Fields is saying the reset was here before Sheik sold, for those in the know. And I couldn't agree with him more. Dude, I reset last year in April. I reset. I said, I cannot continue breeding my XLs to other XLs that got Mastiff in them as well. Because even though you have an XL that only has, say, 10% Mastiff and another one that's got 8% Mastiff, somehow that Mastiffy blood,
links up.
Even though it's not the majority, it's just so sticky, it ruins everything. People used to always tell me, hey, bro, them terrier traits, they're really sticky. They're really, strong. I don't know what to say, man, because I think the Mastiffs are far more sticky than a terrier. That's just my, my opinion.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that one right there. So I'll ask this question right here. Bullies and weight pulling. Should the ABKC bring that back for sports? Should they? That's what I'm
talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You see, I think they should do that. I think, you know, whether it's weight pulling, whether it's even tug of war between two bullies. Yeah, bro.
I like
But think
that.
about it. But think about it. Think about it. The minute you do that, people are gonna want more Brazilians than you're gonna want these Mastiff XLs, bro.
The problem with the Brazil for me is like the aesthetics, like the eyes, is the proportion is too it's not the width because you have extremes, but the muscle tone, and then for y'all to say we don't want the dogs to be this way, but then you add that, it's just like I don't get it. Y'all already complaining about the Mastiff, you know what I mean? And the dog, then you're gonna go add this or give this a pass. It's just I don't know.
Here's the thing, Jafon. This community is gonna jump on the latest, most exotic thing there is. Period. I've been looking at this community for 10 years now, and it's been the same thing over and over again. When I first got here, it was about tries, right? That was the hot thing. Then tries became a bit of a norm. Then it was Merles. Then that became a bit of a norm. Now we're talking Brazilians. I think Brazilians are evolving as well. And I think they'd be real smart to do one of two things. And I don't have the Brazilian Bull standard in front of me. Do one of two things. Either set those eyes where they are and keep them there as a standard and as a way to show the difference between the two breeds, or correct it and know that going forward, more likely than not, the two breeds are going to merge.
That's more likely the outcome going into the future, where everybody over here wanting the Brazilian blood. Do I want it? No. Are you going to be able to avoid it after a while, a few more years into the future if you continue breeding? Probably. No,
bro. It's going to be like the Mastiff today.
Yeah.
It's going to get to a point where that blood is so everywhere that you can't get out of it. That's what I think. As far as at the XL level, maybe down at the standard and pocket level, there's no need for that. I don't know. But as far as the XL level, bro, I give it 2 to 3 years that everyone's going to have Brazilian blood some way, somehow.
And I hope I don't. Well, I'll go back to my final question, which was my first question after I ran through all of that. How do you protect the American XL Bully?
I already told you, bro. The way you protect the American XL Bully, look, if you really wanted to protect the American XL Bully, if we really wanted to, we would have learned the standard before buying. We would have not bought based on color or hype like we have done for so long. So, I could sit here and give you the goody two shoes answer, but the truth is 99.9% of this community could care less. And that's why the XL, I feel, out of all the classes has been the least protected. And I have now welcomed the Brazilian with open arms because I understood that they just rose or raised the bar so high that now XL breeders are going to have to breed correctly. Otherwise, you're going to get your lunch eaten. That's it.
Hey, that was my last question. I want to sneak one more in. I know I got to go real quick.
You're good. Go ahead.
Hold the community accountable for these type of bad breedings and decisions, or just jumping on the hype train?
Here's the deal. Did you see you just saw the poll I put up, right?
Yeah.
You saw it 60-40, right?
Yeah.
I could almost put money on this that the majority of the people voting here on the 60, not really, giving that indirect shade to the Brazilian Bull. I'm pretty sure they have an XL right about now in their house that they bought 2 years ago from a hyped up breeder, and they just realized their dog is worthless. So whether they want to take accountability or not, the market is correcting right in front of them. All you got to do is watch them. If you hear somebody yapping their mouth at Brazilian Bull, blah, 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 great. Let me go into your page. Oh, look at that. You got one of them big old mastiff looking XLs. There you go. That's your answer.
Well, I'll laugh to that because I have some of those dogs. Eventually, the times change.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Did you look up breed standard before you bought your XLs?
No.
Okay. So my question to you is, and look at the screen. Right now, this minute, if this is the American Bully, the standard that's being held up for the American Bully XL, actually for any class, but for the American Bully XL, who is closer to this right here? The XL you bought or the Brazilian Bull Chic?
Now, I have a male that looks like this. So that
okay, he's XL?
Yeah, he's an XL. So the female that I have, she doesn't look nothing like this. But my male is this is pretty much how he looks.
Okay. Well, tell you what. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
You're gonna Kyle. Let me give you Kyle's number. Kyle, put your number up on a banner. I want your fawn to get your number, and he's gonna send you a picture of his dog, and we're gonna put it next to this right here.
All right, bet.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. So, Jafon, do me a favor. Keep looking at the screen. Kyle's gonna put his number there. Make sure to send him a picture of your dog, and let's match it up. Okay, but I can tell you, me just being an XL breeder for the last 10 years, great majority of the XLs running around do not look like this, bro.
No, they don't.
That's just a fact. That's not me just, it is what it is. So that's his number, 337-377-5667. All right.
You want me to send it right now?
Yeah, go ahead and send him the picture. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go into the next segment, and then I'm going to bring you back once the picture's up, okay?
All right, bet. Gotcha.
All right, bro. Jafon, number love for you, bro. Keep bringing the questions, man. We appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you. I like that, man. I like Jafon's fresh outlook on things, man. Newer breeders, man, they're important. They're very important, man. It's throughout the saying, people use the term dapple or blotch for merles to get away with paperwork. Oh, my goodness. How the Brazilian Bull raised the bar was their transparency in genetic and health testing. Adam Fields, I think it was both. I think phenotypically, and I think exactly what you said here, that's what put everything over the top, in my opinion. And Sarata saying yes to his remark. I literally frowned my damn face up when I saw those poll results. You see, I'm just keeping it real, man. This community could be dicey sometimes, man. I want to see Jafon, says Adam Fields. Yeah, he's going to send the picture here in a bit. We're going to bring it in. Queen says, I did and wanted to breed all classes and have a consistent look throughout the classes, and it was hard to find XLs that looked like a standard. That's what I'm saying. Chic, so people can't lie. All right. Bring him on the stack off next month. Oh, Jafon, people challenging you, man. Dupree Anders says Samba Kennel Chic definitely looks the part compared to the ABKC standard. That's my take on it. But without further ado, we got Money Mike in the back. So Kyle, get the music ready. And here we go. Oh, tough topics with Money Mike coming in. I have a feeling Money Mike is about to talk some stuff. What's up, bro?
What's up, fam?
Oh, wait a minute. I had to show it, man. We had Kyle in the back dancing, bro. There you go.
I love it. I tell you what, I like the perspective of a new breeder in here too, because it really, listening to him, it reminded me of the evolution that my mind went through in my process, in my journey, because there was a point in time where I had all the same questions, and that right there, they're good questions, and they need to be asked, but you realize, in asking them that, like, oh yeah, you're right. We don't need legislation. We don't need that. You know what I'm saying? And that's
a lot of times we're programmed, like when you come out of just society in general and you step into this industry, you come with a mindset of being a dog owner, and you have been sold these bills of goods that regulation is a good thing. But then when you come in, you realize that all it takes is for a big breeder to get into somebody's pocket, and all of a sudden the regulations are not fair for 99% of us.
That's right.
Right? So yeah.
And just to comment on the topic tonight and what you said about females, and I really love the back and forth between you and Kyle there, because it's so true, right? If you haven't, if you're approaching that third breeding with that female and you haven't outproduced her and got something up and coming behind her, why are you breeding her again? But at the same time, if she's producing and outproducing herself and continuing to do so, it holds its own water until the youngest or the oldest puppy, the first litter rather, gets caught up and ready to breed.
Yeah. Here, I mean, I guess the example I'm about to give might not even be fair, but let me just give an example, right? So who's the top basketball player right now in the country? Do you know? Steph Curry. Let's say Steph Curry.
I would say if I had to give the belt to somebody, I think he's the best.
Okay, because I'm older guy. I'm thinking Michael Jordan and all this and that. But okay, Steph Curry. Let's just say Steph Curry's dad is 5'9" and his mom is 5'6". Just an example. And they had Steph, right? And they had, I don't know if Steph has any brothers or sisters, but that I'm aware of, the only NBA superstar that came out of that pairing was Steph Curry, right? So what makes you think that, right, that breeding, that his parents continuing to have kids, right, are going to be hitting that? I don't know. Maybe that wasn't the best example. My point is,
it made sense.
If you have two dogs that are a 5 from a scale of 1 to 10, mom is a 5 and dad is a 5, right? And you breed them, and they had a pup that's an 8, one puppy that is an 8 out of 10, right? The evolution of your yard should be now that puppy being bred to another 8 so that they can produce a 10. Why would you keep breeding that 5? That right. 5, the best you're going to pull out of that, don't get me wrong. If you bred her the first time and you got an 8, okay, definitely go ahead a second time. If the second time she only breeds an 8, 1/8 again, or a 7, at that point, it's time to pull the plug. She's not going to give you more than that. That's now, right. If she turned around and gave you a 9, then by all means, go ahead and breed her a third time. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But if you bred her the first 2 times, she was a 5 or a 6, and she gave you an 8 the first time and maybe an 8 the second time, she gave you already what you need to be able to elevate your yard to evolve forward. Why do you keep going back to that? I see so many people on posts saying, oh, because I got old school blood. Let me explain to you when it comes to genetics, right? When it comes to genetics, the more generations you have with particular traits, the more indented into the genetic code those traits are. So if I was to go with a dog that was a grand champion, say 10 years ago, his indentations in the genetic code are not going to be as well, as potent as his great grandkids.
Well, this leads into my first question.
Oh, okay, man. I'm sorry I killed it, bro.
No,
go ahead,
it doesn't
man.
hurt. It only helps. So let me ask you this. Here's my first question. I'm there's gonna be a toe or two stepped on here, but that's how we get down, right? So why are we still breeding to legends from 10 years ago with the development of our breed type still evolving? Isn't freezing semen a thing of the past, holding back genetic progress?
Look, Look,
Shots fired.
Listen, bro, that's a great point. So let me play devil's advocate. Let me give you both sides of that, right? So this is why, at least for the XL class, I feel that frozen semen is worthless because we had so much massive influence. We're trying to get away from that, but you froze that. Well, great, eat it, because now the movement is moving away from that. You see what I'm saying?
100%.
Now, if you had, say, I don't know, a standard that was clean and correct, and let's say that all of a sudden there's another breed, the Belgian Bull, just an example, and they're standard size, and they're about to come into the American Bully world, then yes, you want to have that conserved just in case this goes downhill. You got your reserves. But honestly, for the XL class, I just don't see it, man.
That's an apocalyptic scenario, really. I mean,
right.
Can you blame anybody for building an underground bunker? No, but like it's only going to take you so far.
Right.
You know? Yeah, to me, man, I think freezing semen is for the American Bully, especially the XL, but really altogether, man, until they say we have the American Bully and this is what it is, this is what we expect, then it's an evolving thing. And just in a short time, man, just in 3 to 5 years, every 3 or 5 years until we lock that breed type in, it's outdated. Period.
Unless you are like one of those old car collectors.
Oh, right. You
want to have that exclusive niche. And this was the first red dog ever bred, and okay. I can
the 2016 American Bully.
Right. That sort of deal. Real quick, let me answer this question. Jared Malero says, Raul, what would you want to know and ask when looking for a vet for C-sections or in general? So the very first thing I want to look at is how many vets are in your practice. Oh, we got 6 vets out here in my practice. That's no bueno, in my opinion, because typically what's going to happen is, and I was just talking to Mike because this female is going to heat right now. And I told him, Mike, get ready. She's going to be ready Sunday at 8:00 at night. That's how it always works out for some crazy reason. When you can't ship sperm, when you can't do it, that's when they're 100% ready. But here's the deal. Typically, what these bigger vet clinics want to do is they want to get that youngster that don't know what the hell he's doing yet to practice on your dog. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's precisely what I would run away from. I would go to a country vet like I do, in the middle of nowhere, and his name is Buck. And Buck is the only vet there, and he's got a big old cowboy hat. He's got boots on, and he's the one that calls me Raul every time he sees me.
Yeah.
Right? He's also the same son bitch that gets up at Sunday at 10:00 at night when I call him because I need a C-section. See, that's what I would be looking for.
Hey, I found a country vet 20 minutes from my house, right? And what I like most about this particular gentleman, he was a veterinary professor at the best university for that kind of schooling in the country for like 30 years, and then came out here and retired, and him and his wife actually breed dogs as well. So a country vet that breeds in their personal time is really on board with a breeder mentality, and also doesn't make his money off of dogs. So he's a rare one, but I'm proud to know him.
No, that's the main thing, and that's why I tell people country vets. And you're probably, but why would I want a country vet? Raul, the city slickers more prepared. No, they ain't more prepared. They both got to pass the same test. And guess what? That dude out in the country is making money off of horses and cows and sheep and alpacas, right? He ain't trying to pay the rent, monthly rent with one dog and one cat like these city slickers do.
That's right.
And the city slicker wants to fit you into their little schedule. Oh, yeah, we don't do emergency call-ins. You're going to have to go to that other emergency clinic that wants to charge $8,000 for a season. Yeah, no. Go in the middle of nowhere. Find yourself a country vet. Make sure it's him and his brother or him and his dad. One of them deals. It's only those two you're going to be dealing with. That's how you want to work it out, man, in my opinion, right? Let's see, man. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. We got
something to say about that, huh?
Yeah, she's saying country vets are the best. Big pharma don't own the farm vets. No, they don't. Hold on. We got Hollywood interruption. What you got, Hollywood?
So I got the 2 pictures from Jafon, and also Hector Vargas sent me a picture of his dog. He wants to compare it too. Now that we're talking about it.
Good. Fair enough, man. Thank you so much. And as soon as we're done with this segment, we'll jump right back on.
Yep.
All right, bro. Appreciate you. What you got,
Well, let me dive into question number 2 for y'all, man. Are females being disregarded and disrespected by a male-focused bully world? Are there long-term effects to undervaluing the maternal side of the pedigrees?
Look, I think, man, that's a good question. I think the community as a whole is wowed more times than not by males than females. So whenever they go to their recorded memory, they're always going to go to XYZ males.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's a big but.
Any breeder worth their weight in salt will tell you the sauce is in the female.
That's right.
Period. I have brought guests here. I brought all sorts of breeders. We all conclude, yeah, it's the female side. Yeah. That male, I was just talking to my mom today, matter of fact. I was just talking to my mom because I got my DNA test, right? Not from Embark, but I got my DNA test. And it turns out, listen to this crazy story. So there's people from the Canary Islands, right? People think canary and they're thinking like, did they name it after them little parakeet looking things? No. Canary in Latin means dog island, right? Canary Islands. So this is a crazy story. The migration from people from the Canary Islands to the Americas, they only landed on 3 spots. They landed in Uruguay, they landed in Venezuela, but exclusively in the capital, Caracas, no place else, and in Cuba in a province that's called Matanzas, right? Listen to how crazy this is. So my mom's mom, my grandmother, comes from Matanzas, and she is of Canary Island descent. My father, may he rest in peace, his grandfather came from the Canary Islands. I got my DNA test coming back today saying I'm 52% Canary Islander. I'm like, what? All this time I thought I was black.
Wait a minute, you're black? I thought you were Cuban.
Yeah, well, black Cuban, black Venezuelan didn't matter. My whole point is today, everything got scrambled because it just so happens that I actually have that blood both top and bottom, man, as crazy as that may sound. But I
actually knew you were partially black as well. I'm just messing with you.
I know, man.
I know you got a good blend, but I had no idea about the Canary Islands. That's crazy, man.
Well, what's even crazier is when you go to that 52% that makes me up, right? Yeah. Right. 70% of the Canary Island in me is exclusively from my mom's side. You know why?
Mitochondrial
DNA. It can only be passed from mom all the way down.
Which is how this is relevant to this question.
That's right. Now, I did get 30% of it from the Y chromosome my dad had, which the only one that could pass it down are the fathers, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, mitochondrial DNA played a huge part in my makeup.
So,
right?
if a person's program can get their bitches in order, they're really pulling the most weight forward there because the mitochondria is so much more powerful. Yes,
but here's the deal, bro, and this is the key to the whole thing. You want a female female doesn't have to have an outrageous koi of 40 or 38 or 36. If you got that, great, but you don't have to have that. What you got to have is a female that has consistently been line bred, because what that means is her genetic code, indentations in her genetic codes are strong enough that when she passes it over, okay, and I'm talking about nuclear DNA right now. So nuclear DNA and mitochondrial DNA are two different things. And I'll talk to you about how mitochondrial DNA came about. But nuclear DNA, you want her to have those indentations, right? And she's able to pass that forward. Now, mitochondrial DNA, which is super crazy, actually came from a bacteria, believe it or not, right? This is why mitochondrial DNA is only passed by the mom and not the dad, because at some point, a female's DNA, nuclear DNA, got somehow also crossed, or not necessarily crossed, but added to with the mitochondrial DNA. This is why females are the only ones that pass that. And mitochondrial DNA is important because the mitochondria is what breaks sugars and transform it into energy, right? And so, you ever seen, I don't know, people walking around the beach like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and dude just came out of a restaurant and he ate about 8,000 calories, and you're like, how the hell he did that? It's completely genetic. Yeah, it is, but it's more that mitochondrial DNA is coming from his mama, right? Mm-hmm. And the same could be true with dogs, right? So if you want a big old built up, muscled up dog, you can't have a skinny little athletic looking mom. It's just not going to fly, right? She's just not going to pass. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, man. You can't be going all deep dive education on these haters, man, because they're listening. And you ain't got no script in front of you, and then it's off the dome, and it's too much. You can't.
But listen, it don't matter because they hating me because they got the massive looking XLs anyway. So it don't matter. You ain't gonna fix it.
Yeah, it's true, man. It is. No, I love it, man. That's what got me so deeply involved on this platform. Just starting off as just a fan, which I'm still a fan, and got me involved because when I first started listening to you, I was like, man, this guy right here's got the right ring. Like it was resonating with me, your stance in this community. And so I started really fact checking your stuff. I'm really looking up all this stuff, and I'm like, golly, man, I don't know how dude goes live like he does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then as time went on, it just gave me a whole new respect for the opportunity that this platform is. It's really a way to take it to the next level, man, and I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate too the other way around. You know why, Mike? Because this community is about building people up. You see, you've consumed our content. You've built yourself up in QBN University. You've been part of the nation from day one, right? So when you speak your truths, I want you not only to fact check me, I want you to fact check Mike. And when it comes back that he's on point, right? The only testament is that, I've been able to push this, and those that have been wanting to consume it have. And therefore, it means a lot to me to be able to see someone like you, Mike, where, 2 years, 3 years into this, you're able to speak 80, 90% of the truths I'm talking about.
That's right. Yeah. I cut my teeth here. There's no maybes to it, man. And I hope that's a testament to people, if I want nothing else to come from my contribution, it's to know that you can start at ground zero right here and wind up where I'm at. And it's just keeping your head down, man, and learning this stuff. Because you need to know it. If you're breeding, if you're not watching all these videos, it's not about likes and shares. It is, but it's not. It's right. Not because if you're considering yourself a breeder and you're not combing through this material, you're not going to make it. You're not. You're going to get run over because there's going to be somebody there like me that watched it all and took notes. And I don't know how you think you're going to trump that. You're not.
Well,
And
here,
then,
here,
you know,
here's
that's the thing, right?
here's the thing, Mike, and it's one of the reasons I created this platform. A lot of these big breeders that are multimillionaires, they want you in their pocket and behind them. When have you seen a multi-million-dollar breeder say, "Hey, come on up here next to me, buddy. I want you to be rich just like me"?
Yeah.
That's not happening.
So
Which,
you're going to have to fight for it. That's really my point. You're going to have to fight for it, you know, and I hope I'm a testament to being in that fight, man.
yeah, absolutely. By the way, magnanimous bullies, straight up, man. Kyle, can we hear it, bro?
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
It's got KC Cabron. We're here at every Monday and Friday, 8 p.m. CST. Magnanimous. I hope I said it right. I saw your question earlier. Go ahead and repost it. We're going to be answering that real quick. 8 says, Raul or Mike, a lot of XL bullies have a similar look, excluding the XLs that look more mastiff. How come as a community we're saying the XL doesn't have their own look? What's the aim point? 8, I don't know about you, bro, but every time I flip open Facebook and I look at XLs, literally the next XL looks nothing like the one I just saw previously. Yeah. So, and you also have the Mastiffs that look similar because they got that Mastiff look. So I don't know, Mike, talk to me. What do you see out there?
Man, I agree with that. Of course, it's what I see is this: XLs have a look, but when XLs really took off, the biggest breeders in the game take it and they took what would sell and flooded the community with it, right? And everybody's buying what everybody's talking about. And before we knew it, we had 90% of the XL community with Mastiff dogs. These
yes.
24, 25, 26 inch, 180, 200 pound dogs, you know, with these stiff, narrow rears like a lion. And then we realized, like, oh, wait a minute, we don't have the breed type that the other American bullies have. So we're in a jam. And then everybody started backtracking and everybody's trying to drag this breed type up. And the problem is the Mastiff blood is getting in the way because it's everywhere. And it's sticky, like you said. And so this is why it's not that the XL doesn't have a look, because it does. All you got to do is go to ABKC and look at the breed standard. The problem is we're not able to hit that mark because everybody brought in all this blood that was toxic to the XL. And that's just the facts, man. And now we're having to eat all that and backtrack and try to regroup. And at the same time as that's going on, you got the Brazilian bull coming in and making us look bad. And
yeah,
so,
how many XLs you got looking like the dog I got on the screen?
It's not even that I don't have it, because I don't. I tell you what, I got an XL with that rear angulation. I got one with that top line. I got that one with the front shoulder structure and that shape, but I don't have the overall package. And so that's the thing. There are some dogs that are close. Some of the line that you were breeding towards before you pivoted, you were getting there. But the problem is the bar is steadily evolving and being raised forward at the same time. And so even what you just showed right there, if you pull it back up on the screen,
yeah,
this right here is the ABKC breed standard for the XL. But if you think that dog right there by itself is going to be enough in 5 years, it's still evolving. So the problem is, how do you jump into that and build towards that and keep up? Well, you better learn and educate yourself about inbreeding and line breeding and how to juggle this thing and stay ahead, because otherwise if you're just chasing the next big name, you're going to always be behind.
That's exactly it. And that's exactly why this platform was built, is because there was always the next big thing. There was a lack of education. So you were always in a dark room looking for a black cat that was never there, right? At least now you could say, do you have an embark? See, the Brazilian bulls got embarks. So why can't XL have an embark? Do you have OFA? Do you have a premium pedigree? This is precisely what the scammers don't want to see come up to light because it forces them to be transparent and be real breeders. This is what it comes down to.
What I love most about it is from day one, we've been talking about it right here. So, you know, like, hey, what's happening is I'm actually proud of the community on this. Like they're stepping up. And it used to be when I first got to going to shows, you talk about Embark, 1 out of 10 people has anything to say about like, oh yeah, Embark, yeah, well, are you using it? No, I don't mess with it, blah, blah. But nobody's really doing it. Nobody's on board. Now it's 3 out of 5.
Right.
That are slightly, at least slightly educated on it and probably have their best dogs embarked on their program. You know, and, that's in the last 3 years. So.
And here's the beauty of it, which is, and I gave Aria her flowers from Samba Kennels. Here she is. She's the newcomer on the floor right now. The spotlight is on that boy Chic. And top to bottom, she got Embark. She has OFA on the elbows, the heart, the hips. She's about to get the premium pedigree. Like, how come she's doing it for the last 10 years? We got breeders purposefully evading it.
Well, the truth is, in her case, she was a Dogo Argentino breeder for 20 years and bred some of the best on the planet to this day, and so she knows the game. She knows what's up. She's an ethical breeder. So now she came in with it on her mind.
Now we must ask ourselves, all these breeders that have been selling dogs for a lot of money. How come we've never seen an embark on any one of your dogs? How come it's always been a hush thing? How come no OFA? How come I pay a $2,000 deposit, and if I talk to the wrong person, all of a sudden you keep the money and you don't come through on your stud fee? Oh, why? But that's not why we're here tonight, Mike.
Let me ask you.
What's your next question, man?
I got another one for you right here. Okay, we're going to call this topic right here breeder burnout. Is the hustle mentality destroying programs because breeders are pushing too hard for short-term wins, burning them out mentally and financially?
I think that the majority of the breeders, they don't feel burned out when the market is sky high, like right after COVID. I didn't hear it. Did you hear a breeder burnout after COVID? Let me get Colin here. Kyle, did you hear a breeder burnout when people were paying crazy money for dogs and it seemed like there wasn't enough puppies to go around? Did you ever hear a breeder burnout?
Nope.
No.
It happened when everybody got broke.
And then all of a sudden everyone got broke, and all of a sudden, I was really what they're saying, right? I mean, they're not saying it per se, but really what they mean is I was a sheep and I thought that this was going to be an easy Ponzi scheme and I was going to make a quick buck. And now all of a sudden I feel like, nothing I have is worth anything. So I'm burnt out now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the education stopped real early. And then the finances stopped right behind that. And it petered out.
Yeah, look what Malachi says. It's all a thing where if they aren't the center of attention or not hearing the name over and over, they despise it even if they know it's the truth. It's going to be hard for them to accept it. I guess he's referring to the Brazilian bulls. And this is true. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You know how they accept it? They go buy a Brazilian bull. And then all of a sudden they're a Brazilian bull proponent. You see them a little sign, Fala Português. Yeah. Viva Brazil. Oh, what happened 2 years ago, buddy? Oh, yeah, man. It took me a little while to transition over, bro. Oh, okay. Real quick, J.R. Bolero says, would you bring Brazilian bull blood to your yards? Okay, this question has been asked before, and I'm going to answer it. As far as my yard is concerned, right now, I have everything planned for all the way to the end of this year. This has already been pre-planned by me. I'm not changing anything because I'm on schedule. Will I rule out ever bringing a Brazilian bull? Not at all. I'm not ruling it out. Okay.
I wouldn't either.
But rather than taking the easy route, I want to give myself the opportunity. It's the reason why I pivoted last year. I want to give myself the opportunity of making a badass XL that could jump in the ring and compete with anybody, including Sheik, who's a Brazilian bull. That's what every breeder should have in mind. Whether you want to breed Brazilians, whether you want to breed XLs, it doesn't matter. Your goal should always be to produce the very best and not be afraid of competition. So that's where I'm at. Do I rule out ever bringing a Brazilian bull? Not at all, man. Because if I try building it and I can't get there, and that's the only way I can, I'll be the first to admit it. It's not an ego thing. It is a breeder thing. Okay? So that's where it comes down to. Javier says, Mike, are you saying that XL standard is going to need to evolve also?
Javier, that's a great question, man. And I'd love to further elaborate on that. So here you go, buddy. It's not going to evolve on the website as far as that picture that we just looked at. I mean, it may, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in the show ring, it's already exceeded that.
Yes. Yes.
Even though they're not putting the memos out to the community, they're looking for more than that right now. And that's just the fact.
We have Dupree Anders saying, why the hell do everybody not know what the hell embark is or act like they never heard of it? They're in the breeding business. It's simple. It's simple. Listen to me, guys. If you don't believe me, I'm a nurse. Trust me on this. Fact check me. Go to Google. The first step of grieving is denial. All right. You paid 20 grand and you just found out your dog is worthless at this point. Now you're in the the first grief stage, which is denial, right? Wow. So, embark. What's embark? Brazilian bulls. What's a Brazilian bull? Yeah, you're in denial, bro. You got your head in the sand. That's all it is.
I think this question right here goes to this a little bit. We're tiptoeing around it anyway. Line breeding versus outcrossing. Is tight line breeding still the most valid approach? Why do some outcrossed dogs still push through traits, in some cases more than line bred dogs? How does that happen?
Repeat the very last part of that question, please. That was a long question.
Yeah, it was. So the first part is tight line breeding still the most valid approach? And then the second part is basically how are there some outcrossed dogs who are pushing through their traits even more powerfully than some line bred dogs?
Well, okay, this you're going into genetics, so it's real simple. We were talking about it, today. You have a female that has a coy of 9. I have a male that has a coy of 24. If they were to breed, it would be a complete outcross. Who do you think is going to dominate? Probably his, because 24% of the recessive traits he's got are homozygotic or identical, whereas she only has 9%, right? And so he's more than doubling her. So that's why that happens on an outcross.
It would be your best case to challenge the mitochondria.
You're not challenging the mitochondria. The mitochondria cannot be challenged. It will always only be transferred from the mom. So say, for example, I was to breed my boy to your girl. My boy's got 24%. She has 9%. Let's say he made a dog that's 80% replica of himself. That's all great. Mitochondria DNA on every single puppy is still going to come from mom.
Yeah,
that's not going to be challenged. Nuclear DNA
traits in to sneak dad's traits by mom is what I meant, really.
Yes. On the nuclear DNA side, he should be able to push into her the great majority of the traits, right?
So is it the indentions that you spoke of earlier that is kind of how a dog that's line bred so much and then outcrossed and then the production of that outcross breeding is able to still produce like he's line bred because of his indentations?
So there's two things when I talk about indentations, right? So one indentation that is not necessarily what I'm talking about when I talk about genetic change indentations are going to be dominant traits. Okay. We know that dominant traits, you only need dad to have this dominant trait. It doesn't matter what mom has, it's going to show, right? We know that dominant traits, and I'm just going to throw a relative number out there. It could be a slight hair more or slight hair less, but it's no more than 1% of the dog, right? Usually, right? And we know that recessive traits, which is the one that we're able to gauge through the coefficient of inbreeding or the COI in embark, we're able to see a percentage of how many traits are homozygotic because they're necessary to be identical to be able to show, right? So what ends up happening is, say you were to line breed a dog for 6 generations. More likely than not, let's push aside COI for just a moment. More likely than not, the 5 or 6 traits that bloodline has, because it has been breeding generation on top of generation, when you get to that indentation, more likely than not, that's a homozygotic pair when you get to that little indentation, because that's why they were doing that generations on top of generations, right?
And it makes it stick.
Yeah, it makes it stick. So and not just that, also let me give you a little tidbit, which I've spoken about in the past. There are recessive traits and then there's dominant traits. However, when you grab, say, and you do a nephew to an auntie breeding, when you get to those indentations, auntie has the homozygotic traits and so does nephew. We're going to pull one from auntie and one from nephew, and they're going to come together. And because they're so identical, they're going to potentialize themselves exponentially. What that means is that this recessive trait will now become stronger than a dominant trait, which means further down,
right?
Yes, which means further down the line, when you breed that recessive trait to something that doesn't have it, that new category that this trait has now inherited will still dominate and show, even though it's not homozygotic, it's heterozygotic at this point. That's how crazy it is.
Yeah, it's even stronger than a dominant gene.
So line breeding is a watered down version of inbreeding, but it is the best of both worlds, because when you inbreed, you are increasing COI super high. You're increasing these pairs, but the risk of health issues is also going up. So the only way you water that down is through inbreeding. I'm sorry, line breeding, so that, you know, an aunt to a nephew is almost the equivalent of 2 cousins breeding. Okay, it's almost the equivalent as far as how far away they are genetically. Yeah.
The other big risk is those traits that are pairing up. They're pairing up in places where you want them to, but they can often pair up in places you don't want them to and become dominant, double recessive dominant. And then you're forcing traits to be locked in. You may not ever get them unlocked.
Yeah, this is why it's really important you know what the hell you're doing before you inbreed, because, you know, auntie, she could use better rear angulation. Nephew, he could use better rear angulation. From a scale of 1 to 10, they're both a 5. But because of the exponential expression I was talking about, now the puppy, instead of being a 7 or an 8 as far as rear angulation, he's now a 1. And not just a 1, his genes are now stronger than a dominant gene, which means for you to clear that, it's going to take you a very, very long time. Real quick, let me jump into some of these questions real quick.
Jump into them, and then I got one more, and that's all I got.
Montana P says, I understand the Brazilian bulls aren't usually chunky, looking like the XLs as puppies. Do you feel you should ever hold back food on a 4-week-old pup? No, you don't hold back food on those first 10 weeks. You're not holding back food. what you don't want to do is overfeed either. What I mean by that is I've heard of breeders that let the puppies free feed. I wouldn't do that either. Okay. But feeding a puppy minimally 3 times a day is necessary, if not more. Okay. So I don't know if I was able to answer that. Let me jump on this. Thinking it was a get rich quick and sold a dream, thinking they're going to make it big. Yeah, that's what happened. But now they're burned out. They're burned out. Yeah, I get you're burning out. All my dogs are embarked thanks to QBN. Magnanimous, man, that's showing up and showing out. That's what I'm talking about, man. I got my embark back last week. These are the conversations we need to be talking about as breeders, right? 8 says, Raul, what do you think?
My yard is embarked.
Yeah. Raul, what do you think? Hope Blueberry can bring to your kennel. He's a beautiful dog, by the way. Thank you. It's funny. Today I was talking to a good friend of mine about Blueberry. and look, man.
He's looking good. Pull that most recent picture of him up, man. Hey, let me tell you about Blueberry. Blueberry's been sneaking up real quiet and turning into a real bull, man.
Oh yeah, man. And today he impressed me, man. I got to tell you, today he impressed me. He had a little humping action today, bro. He letting Daddy know he's mature enough. He's getting there.
Yeah.
So yeah, little Blueberry was
good, man. Look at him.
Yeah, he coming in, bro. What's really crazy is the size of his head, bro. He's not even 1 yet. So definitely very impressed with how far he's come along so far. The one Meredith says, which is the most effective way in line breeding? Female to nephew, female to grandson, or grandfather. Okay, yeah, female to grandfather or to an uncle. Okay, so let me explain something real quick.
Depends on who's got what traits in that scenario too, right?
Yeah, but always when the female is the hierarchical of the two, okay, you got to make sure that you're not dealing with any type of underlying carrier illness, okay? Because she, again, we're going back to, it's not nuclear DNA, it's mitochondrial, but she's going to be apporting more, okay? Because she's also apporting the mitochondrial DNA that was once recognized with that illness. So what I mean by that is if you have a carrier of, say, ataxia, if auntie is a carrier of ataxia, I don't care if the male is clear, I would not breed the male back to the auntie. Genetics could be pretty crazy. If you inbreed 2 dogs, brother and sister, for example, you could go back up to 2 or 3 generations and pull back a grandfather, and you're like, damn, that puppy looks just like grand champion such and such from 8 years ago. It's because of these indentations in the genetic code that I'm talking about. Okay, so if I was going to do it, I would say preferably grandfather to granddaughter is probably the cleanest and safest and furthest away. The following one would probably be uncle to niece. Okay, and then I would go auntie to nephew, but like I said, they got to be completely clear. Okay. Let me jump on some of these because they're going to choke me tonight, man. I'm taking way too long.
Get them choked up.
Outcross dogs are more selectively bred for certain traits together to increase the chance on keeping that, while line breeding is locking in traits on a certain dog that carries that trait. Queens, you're on point. I love it. You're on point. Let me see. Whoa, Blueberry all of a sudden got some fans over here. How tall is Blueberry? He ain't very tall, man. He definitely a pocket. Definitely a pocket. I haven't measured him. I should be measuring him. Queen says son carries more of the X chromosomes, only the father's Y, while daughters pull more X chromosomes, correct, from all genes in both mother and father. This is correct. This is why the female is key in both giving you consistency in your litter or scattering it around, right?
Yeah.
The female's the one that brings the assortment because she pulls from 2 X's. The male only has the ability to pull from 1 X. right? Because the other letter, the letter Y, is only there for the sex of the puppy, to determine what the sex of the puppy is, right? So that's the reasoning why the female is more key. She's pulling from both dad's X and mom's X, whereas the boy is pulling from one X that has been mixed between the two and a Y that it can't use. All right.
I think it's fascinating that, you know, you would think just hearing that, you know, those two X's would be just twice as much as his one X, but it's actually way more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it is. Now, I will say this: the Y.
Thousands, whereas
now, I will say the Y. I will say the Y is hyper concentrated. However, no matter how concentrated it is, when it's put up against an X, it is just completely demolished. It's almost like the movie 300, right? You got 300 Spartans against, you know, I don't know, 20. Right, a million man army. It's just ridiculous. So go ahead with your last question, Mike.
All right, I got you right here. Fake paperwork and registry games. How real is the issue of falsified papers or swapped peds? And who does the accountability fall to more, the registry or the community?
Well, look, I'm going to tell you how serious it is. The reason that is so serious that the ABKC came out with a premium ped that requires that you do parentage DNA. That should tell, just that alone should tell you a lot, right?
I'll tell you what that tells me more than anything is that
tell me.
There's a lot of people all the way at the bottom that are pointing fingers up at the ABKC about they're all about this paper hanging and blah, 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 and any other registry. And then when they come out with this premium pedigree, well, it tells me like, oh, no, they're not. It may seem like that to the little guy, but the fact of the matter is they have orchestrated a way now that they just threw a major stick in the spokes of anybody that thinks they can run generations of hanging papers. And a lot of big, what people call big breeders, they ain't big to me. They ain't nothing to me. But some of these big breeders are going to take a nosedive. Yeah. They're going to take a nosedive.
We're about to find out. Yeah, we're about to find out who's a real breeder and who isn't.
Yeah, it's going down. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell y'all this. So I don't want to hear finger pointing. Oh, Raul. No. You hear me out. Hear me out, because I've been embarking since 5 years ago. Not only embarking, I've been putting it on the live for everybody to see. If you don't believe me, go to my last Friday live. Okay. If you were to go into my embark and take a quick peek, which I'm going to allow you to, right? And we go back, right? Hold on. There we go back. And we scroll all the way down. Okay. There's 73 dogs that we've embarked right here. 73. Okay. So what I'm about to say, I don't want to hear it. Okay. My point is, we're about to find out who's really breeding and who's really been hyped up. And you're going to tell, because you're going to see at some point these hyped up dogs are going to be non-existent. I've been saying it from the gate. All it takes is a grand champion or a very popular dog like Sheik, for example, to have all these components in place, have the premium pedigree, and be able to jack the price up to be able to drown out all these glorified backyard breeders that will never show you an embark, will never show you an OFA, will never show you a premium ped. And so that's what you need to be on a lookout for. Oh, this big name. Why have they never came out with a premium ped? I'm talking about give them a year, give them 2 years, because they may be waiting for the puppies to get big. But if in 2 years you don't have a premium ped, you're going to have a hard time selling dogs. It's really that simple.
Why does somebody like I said to you, we was talking the other day, you know, off the show, it was like, if I'm putting money together to buy a dog for my program and I'm looking at spending $5,000 and I don't know what's under the hood, but then I can spend $7,000 or $7,500 and know everything and what's going on and have verifiable paperwork, you know, it's like,
It's a no-brainer. Look, Dupree
No-brainer,
Anders
man.
just dropped the bomb. He says this new wave with the premium pet and Brazilian bulls is grabbing all those BSers by the neck the same way Katie Williams did when he spilled the beans on Club Shay Shay. He don't mean Katie Williams. He means Cat Williams. When he spilled the beans on Shay Shay and this whole thing that's going on. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. All these people that have been BSing, they're the biggest haters of the Brazilian bulls and the premium pedigree and QBN Kennels and Michael Higginson that you're going to find on the planet right now because they're self-exposing.
That guy right my thing is on point tonight, man.
Yo, my thing is this: if you ever see him in a group talking this, just do me one favor. Don't even try to defend QBN or me. If they take a shot, I could care less. Just right on there. Do you have a premium pet? Can I see your dog? That's it. And once they bring out that mastiff looking thing and it, oh, I have a UKC Pitbull registration. That's all I got. All right, figure it out from there, bro. Not taking a shot at people that have UKC Pitbull registrations, but if you don't have at least OFA coming on or at least a genetic test, there's something weird. There's something weird.
At least embark, at least something, man.
Juan Hernandez, at what age is it good to get their hips and elbows checked? Okay, so you got pen hip, and then there's also OFA. OFA is my preferred. I'm going to tell you why. OFA requires that your dog is 24 months old, right, for hips. Pen hip, I think they certify your dog. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am. But I've heard that they're able to certify your dog at 6 months. So between 6 months and 2 years, a lot could happen. You see what I'm saying? That's why I prefer the OFA. But that's just me. Okay? That's just me.
I don't know that much about pen hip, honestly.
Dupree, you can add your OFA result on Embark. Money Mike, hold on. Hollywood. Hollywood is playing bad cop today, man. Hold up, let me bring him in.
All right.
Hollywood.
Before y'all go way over and forget we have pictures in the background.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
All right,
I got you.
Just making sure.
Money Mike. You just seen him, man. He hit me with a stick. Yes, officer. Yes, officer. All right, bro. Money Mike, I gotta let you go. Number love, man.
All right.
We'll do it again next week, bro.
I hope everybody enjoyed it.
All right, you got it. Let me bring in Jafon. Jafon, bro.
What's going on? We back.
Money Mike. Hey, man, that Money Mike, bro. He can sure talk, can he? Listen, Hollywood, do me a favor. Go ahead and bring up Jafon's picture. Okay. All right. All right, now, okay, hold them there. Hold them there. Okay. All right. Give me the other picture, Kyle. The one that's facing that one right there. All right. Jafon.
Yeah.
I hate to be the one that's gonna break the news to you, bro, but I keep it as real as $100 bill, bro.
Yeah.
The dog you got it looks very functional. I'm not gonna take that away from you. But the bone on the standard and the bone on your dog, show me his dog again, Kyle, is not the same, bro. Also, the muzzle, the left picture, the other picture. If you look at the muzzle length on your dog, Jafon, it's not there. Look at this one. And I'm saying, look at it objectively. Look at the length of this muzzle. And look at the position of the stop. Yeah, it's just not there. Now, your dog may just be younger. How old is this dog?
Well, he's 3. I got him last year.
Okay, he's 3. Okay, so look, what we're looking at with this dog that you have, and he's a fine-looking dog, man. To me, if you were to ask me, he is a classic-looking dog. Okay, and I know a lot about classic-looking dogs because I've had nothing but a classic looking dog like my boy Fireball. But even my boy Fireball at this very moment does not match up to what the ABKC standard is asking for. They're asking for more bulkiness. This is what they're asking for. And I can tell you, as much as I love my dog Fireball, and maybe maybe 8 years ago he could have been a grand champion. Right this minute, he just doesn't fit that. He doesn't fit this mold right here.
So here's the question, though.
Just keeping it. Yeah.
Do you think Sheik fits it more?
Yes.
You think he
I
does?
do.
Can you put a picture of Sheik?
Kyle, can you look it up? Here's the thing about Sheik too.
Okay.
My
Yeah,
understanding.
hey, but while I'm doing that, I'm gonna bring up Hector's too, so you can look at it.
Okay. The other thing you need to know about Sheik is I believe he's either just 2 or he hasn't turned 2 yet. Okay, that's another thing we must consider. Now, this boy's got a little bit more bone. He got a little bit more bone. I really can't tell in this picture.
Yeah, it looks funny. Shaded.
Yeah, it's a little dark, and he also has a front paw lifted, so it's kind of. But I'll give him this. The top line, the top line. Hold on, let me see if I could put these together. That way I can.
It's a
girl.
Oh, it's a girl. Can you bring her up? Okay, here she is. Hold on, let me just put it. Okay, so here she is.
Yeah,
so top line.
Her koi is 27%. It's a female. She's 17 months.
Yeah, she's nice.
Okay, she is nice. You know what I really, really like about this girl that you can see right off the bat, and she's got a little bit more bone than the dog you showed, Jafon, and more definitely more bone than my boy Fireball. Look at that short back. That back, and I know she's not in a stacked position, but that back looks good. And the rear angulation looks very, very good. I will not take that away. Now, look at the position of the elbow. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Look at the position of the elbow on the illustration. The elbow is right around this high above the chest. And her elbow actually seems in this picture that it's lower. Again, it's not a perfect stack, so I really can't. You know what I'm saying? Put my finger on it. The other thing is, he's saying 17 months. The other thing is, we have to take in consideration her head size proportionate to the body will not match this right here, right? Especially not at 17 months because she still has a lot more to grow, right? So that's what I'm seeing. Also, I don't see a protruding chest. Look at the chest on this dog right here. Well, I keep pointing the wrong way. The chest is supposed to come out here. Look at the forechest, right? That protruding chest. Again, based on that picture, this is all I got. I don't see a protruding chest, but then again, she's only 17 months old, right? She may still develop it. I could tell you majority of dogs at 17 months, XLs, that's just when they're going to start to pop. So that's still very much a possibility. Right? Queen says, love her bone. Muzzle looks more short. The neck is amazing. I definitely like the short back. She does look like she has more bone. Definitely. I wish, she posted a video today where you could see him almost sideways. I wish we had that more. Okay. I wish we had more of that. Rather than this straight picture. This straight picture, all I can tell you is ABKC is moving to more muscular bully, and this dog is fitting the bill. Now, I don't know if he's 1.5 years or he's just turned 2. Okay, and I'm not saying that this is a perfect dog either, but the prototype on this dog, I feel, is closer to an American Bully XL than the majority of what we got out there. Let me.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, let Hollywood zoom it in. Look at the dog's head, right? Look at the dog's head, right? I understand the eyes are closer than yeah. Of the 3 dogs, or actually 4, because I showed my boy Fireball as well. Of the 4 dogs we showed, okay, and I know this is not a side shot, right? Who do you think, at least the jaws and the head, the head must, you see what I'm saying? It's just there, bro.
Right under his mouth.
Yeah.
Right there, you see it. Like you can see it, how short it is. Closer back to your face.
He doesn't have them jowls hanging. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that any of these dogs do. I'm just saying the Mastiff. Oh, Michael Higginson wants to jump in. What you got, Mike? Here you go. I can't hear you, Mike. You're muted. Look, Thanks for playing that video.
The only thing is the long back too that gets me.
Okay.
They all got that long back too.
Listen, this boy again has not even fully
He's
matured.
bulky, bro. I can't take that away from him. I can't take it away at all, but you're not going to shorten the back over time.
Right now, well, the wider he gets, the shorter the back's going to seem. Also, right now, his head size doesn't fit his body. But give him about a year and a half, it's going to be crazy, bro.
I get
what
it.
You got,
now,
dude, when it comes to the shape of the skull, when it comes to the top line, when it comes to the clean feet and the rear angulation and the mass in the rear, it's uncomparable, man. I mean, it really truly is. The spread.
You just need to shorten the back up, do something with the eyes. My take on it is
and shorten the back. It's the perfect American Bully.
But here's the deal. My take on it is they're so young, just like Dave said. It's like breeding a mutt to your bullies. I don't feel they should be brought in for another 5-10 years. They're so young in their breed. I don't agree with bringing them in right now. That's just my opinion.
Here's what's scary. The American Bully XL at 10 years in did not even come close to what you're looking at right now. And what you're looking at right now is only going to get
even
polished.
better for us in the future whenever they're ready and they establish themselves.
Yeah.
But what do you think that dog weighs right there? What did she say
I'll
he weighs?
say this, right? You said what?
150.
I'll say this.
I would say just looking at him, he weighs 135 or more easy, bro.
Yeah.
135 or more easy. It all depends if he takes a dump right before he gets weighed in or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said that the American XL Bully is it's nowhere close to the build right here. Like he's much more closer. But the thing is that they're going off for the bully build. So
they did a better job at it.
They only have to make minor tweaks to get to this point.
Yeah, but Jafon, the key difference is that 10 years in, the Bullies, the one breed they brought in to make the dog bigger was a Mastiff.
Was Bulldog.
The one breed they brought in to make this dog bigger was an American Bulldog, which falls within the Bully breeds.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's why this dog's head, you know, not just the head, like Mike said, and the crest is not even there yet. Give this dog a year and a half. It's going to be ridiculous.
But here's my take on it too. Samba did it right. She's good at what she does, and she knows what she's doing. That's probably the only Brazilian bulls that I've seen that look good. I haven't seen a whole lot of other Brazilian bulls that look as good as Samba's. So if you were to bring in, what would you do? Base your whole thing off of Samba Kennel's breedings? If you bring in a Brazilian bull, because not all Brazilian bullies look like Samba's Brazilian bullies.
Again, you
get what I'm saying though, because Samba did it right.
I get what you're saying, but honestly, nothing changes. If I was to want to breed to this line, if I want to breed a Brazilian bulls, nothing's going to change. First thing that's going to happen is, which I already have, but the first thing that would have happened is, hey, Aria, quick question. Does Sheik have an embark? Yes. Can you send it over? That's my first question. Why? Because I'm going to look at Koi. I'm going to look at everything else in there, make sure he doesn't have any diseases, which I already checked that he's not going to pass forward. And then in addition to that, does he have OFA? Okay, he's got all that. Okay, great. Now I take a look at what I got and what can match up to this. That's breeding 101, bro.
Hector wanted me to show you his other picture.
Wow, look at that. Beautiful.
To elaborate, that's a beautiful dog. To just elaborate on what he said a little bit, I feel you, my guy. Listen, the fact of the matter is, right here in America, when we built the American Bully, we put some different breeds together to make what we have, right?
Yeah.
And we made a big mistake. We made a big boo-boo. We did. We should have never
No, I
brought in the
get it.
Mastiff.
I
We should
get
have
it.
never brought in the Mastiff. And when we did,
But that's why
we
Raul
screwed
said he's gonna.
everything up, and they picked up on our mistake long enough ago to
And with
try
that
to work towards the same end result without the Mastiff DNA.
But that means all we need to do is pivot and do our own thing. We shouldn't be bringing in mutts.
Well, we definitely shouldn't be breeding in Mastiff blood, but find a dog that's living in
No,
the XL
Brazilian
world that doesn't have
bullies.
it.
We shouldn't be bringing in Brazilian bullies. They're too young. That's like taking a mutt and putting it in with the bullies. That's all you're doing.
Well,
They're too young in their generation. They're like
whether
2
that's
generations
true or
away from
not,
Pitbull.
Kyle, whether that's true or not, the point is we can't even backtrack enough to get the Mastiff out of the way with a living dog.
Just like
take the Brazilian bull out of the picture for just a minute. Take the Brazilian bull out of the picture. How do we improve the XL?
We get the Mastiff out of it.
How do you get the Mastiff out of it?
If you're gonna do that, you might as well just take a bulldog. You might as well just take your own bulldog and do it. Then that's the way I feel about it. If you're gonna do that and go that route, get a bulldog and do it.
Let me answer this real quick. Bumbo, hold on. Let me answer this. Bumbo says, now, Raul, that's like you saying you can breed to any Brazilian, get a product just like Samba. Not gonna happen. Why wouldn't it? Now, let me just say this. Let me say this. If you follow the steps which I've laid out, okay, and it's very general. I mean, if you look it up, if you find out what that koi is, and you bring a female that's underneath that koi, say that koi, I'm just throwing a number out there. I don't recall exactly what it is right now. Let's say that koi is 25, and you show up with a girl like Michael has with a koi of 9. You pretty much showing up with a sponge that's going to absorb anything that's being thrown at her. Now, did you get exactly chic in that first generation? No, I wouldn't expect that. But if you're smart enough, right, you're going to either try to find anything within chic's line, an uncle, an auntie, anything of that nature to breed back to whatever you got. You want to line breed it. And then if not, you do it in-house. I mean, this just basic breeding across the board. What the Brazilians do, they grab the bully, they got a pit, put those two together, then turn around and bred to an American Bulldog. That's what they did, right? Then they got the best of the best, and then they started breeding amongst them, and now you're getting these productions that are showing certain traits that the American Bully XL hasn't been able to show for the last 15 years. Nothing changed. It's the breeding process. It's going to take time. It's going to take generations. Right now, they got the chic look in. If you are questioning whether you could get that look immediately, give it 3 more years, and then it's an automatic. Why is that? Because in 3 more years, especially depending how many females they have, they're going to be dropping a generation, and then they're going to be dropping a following generation to that. Again, I was talking about genetic chains and getting indentations in those chains. Nothing changed, bro.
So let me ask you this, Raul.
Honestly, with your plan, Raul, and what we've already discussed, you don't even need the Brazilian bull to do what you're going to be doing.
Kyle, I get it.
I still think you can create a standard looking XL. And this is just a fad. The extreme look is just a fad right now, just like it was. Everything goes away. Fluffy,
let me show
here,
you something.
Bald dogs, this, that, it's going to go away.
Let me show you something from years ago. Let me show you something from the way that you make a bullier XL. And I said this on Friday night. Is the reason why I got pockets like Blueberry that I'm going to breed to my standard bitches that I will then breed to my XL. But years ago, I'm talking about 6 years ago, this little boy right here, little old classic Fireball, was bred to a double XL female. Okay, let me show you the outcome, right? Hold on. Let me show you the outcome. I almost got an XL. I almost got an XL out of that breeding. Now, this boy, you know, he was right underneath an XL. He was like at 19 3/4, right? But unfortunately, when you look at him, if you really look at him, you're going to see mastiff traits. Look at the jowls. It's there. I couldn't clear it. I couldn't shorten the muzzle either because he has that mastiff influence. It's really hard. It's really hard to what's the word I'm looking for? To restructure the skull. You see what I'm saying? This is the reason why I said, yeah, there's a great looking dog, and yeah, there's an improvement here, improvement there, but I'm seeing mastiff traits.
Still stuck.
Let me ask you a question, right? Let me ask you a question, right? When you look at the standards, like the pictures that you showed up, right, like for the ABKC and these dogs, what dogs come closest to this? Because what I'm seeing now, right, like when I look at even my dogs, like I'm not kennel blind. Let's not get it confused. There's plenty of dogs out here way better than mine. I like what I like though, and I have what I have because that's what I spend my money on. Feet,
that's it.
Top, rear. You get what I'm saying? Short muzzle, and as close as I thought I was getting to it, then it's the next level. Then there's another dog that comes out and it's like, well, he's better than this, but Sheik is not a bully though, right?
No, but here's the thing, Javon. Who is saying it's better? Hold on, Kyle. Hold on. Take that down. Get the ABKC. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Who's saying it's better? If we are registering our dogs in the ABKC or the UKC or whatever, they have a standard. They're saying this is better. If somebody's producing something that doesn't look like this,
yeah,
it's all hype. And that's what we've been living on for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So how many dogs have you seen as XLs that look exactly like that photo?
I haven't. The closest thing I seen, Kyle just put on the screen, and I'm going to be using him. It's this boy right here. He's the closest thing I've seen, and he's not an XL. He's a standard. But yeah, he's the closest thing I see to that.
He's got a brother that's an XL, and
and
that's a litter mate, and he's pretty close too.
But this is my thing, right? We haven't seen any XLs that look like that. So how can you compare something that doesn't exist?
What do you mean? You're talking about the Brazilian bull?
Well, that was his point earlier. Do we have any XLs that look like that?
Hey, he's saying something. Hold on. Go ahead.
I'm saying if we don't have any XLs that look exactly like that. We just have close. Like it's close here. The feet might not be good, but it's close. The muzzle might not be good, but it's close, right? How can you compare it to a standard when there's none that matches it? Like, so, like, did you just draw this photo up and say, well, hey?
No, I didn't draw it. No, this was drawn by the ABKC. Yeah, this was drawn by the ABKC for all the classes. So they are saying this is what all the classes need to be looking like, period.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
And there isn't one that's hit it right on the nose yet.
Correct.
For the
that's why he was saying that earlier.
I don't understand.
But here's why we know, Jafon, here's why we know that the mastiff influence has taken us further away than bringing us closer, because you can look at standards that fit that mold very similarly, or if not exactly on point, and even pockets. But when you go to XLs, you get a lot of this.
High rear. Yes, sir.
Not just a high rear, bro. Look at that. That's a mastiff right there, what you're looking at, bro. That lack of rear angulation, that's a mastiff rear, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Look, notice this picture. Notice that. Notice the picture this guy sent. Look at the rear angulation on that, right? Mm-hmm. And then notice that rear angulation. And notice the weak rear. Look at the booty of the dog at the very top. Look how weak that is.
When I
Look at the
think massive,
thighs.
I think of big, huge.
You know,
So-
that's the whole point, Jafan. By looking at the Brazilian bull, like Sheik, for example, we can see where we took a wrong turn at, because even though the breed has just begun, it has exceeded what we have built thus far in the XL world when it comes to muscle, rear angulation, structure,
All because the
mass,
bulldog.
overall top line. I mean, it's. So how did they get ahead of us with a brand new dog? We've been building the American Bully XL for 30 years. Well, they did it because they left the massive out of the gene pool, and that's what Raul and that's what Kyle's saying too. The only chance that we have, and we're all on it, is trying to drag breed type up from the shorter classes of American Bully to the XL class, and it can be done, and we're doing it. But
with the more bulldog looking bullies that we already have in the standard class or the pocket class, the ones that show a lot more bulldog blood and bulldog traits, you bring that in to the XL slowly to get those standard looking XLs.
That's the only chance we got to compete with it.
I'll say this, right? I have a female, right? Old. I don't want to disrespect anybody. Bloods online, right? But he knows the bloods I have, right? The old school big master dogs, right? Yeah, right. That's my female. Now, can you pull up the picture of my male real quick?
Yeah.
That was that. Yeah.
The try, right? All right. Now he's MBB's aftermath grandson. Now, when you look at a dog like this, what would you tell me? Do I scratch, reset, right? Or do I hit him to certain females and see what I can add on?
I'm going to answer your question with this. I have an aftermath son in my yard, Congo.
And I've got his son.
Okay? And I'm going to tell you right now. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now. Unless I have the correct female, I will not breed this boy again. That's it. We had that to work with, but now that Sheik comes on the scene and raises the bar,
it's gonna be tough. Bro. It's gonna be tough.
I love you. I love you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you love your brother, but he never gonna make it to the NBA. I love you, bro.
Goodness.
I'm gonna take care of you, but you're just not gonna be a major player.
Yeah,
man,
and what you're feeling right now, Jafan, is what a lot of breeders are feeling, because they've worked hard for years to work towards something that is becoming irrelevant.
Yeah,
and that's where a lot of people are at. So we did an episode here a while back called The Great Reset, and what that was basically about is you gotta be like pros and cons, take an honest look at what the real deal is. And you can't stop, like you said, you can't stop the tidal wave, man. The truth of the matter is, if you take your own personal beliefs aside and go get a stranger off the street and hold up the breed standard and say, which one is closer to this? They're gonna pick the Brazilian bull, which means we've got to make some changes.
It's a lot of work to do.
Or we're I
wouldn't pick the Brazilian bull.
Right? So it's hard, man. A lot of people are gonna have to be objective and bite the bullet. Some people are gonna have to start over, redirect. But it's a tough one, man. But it's got to be done.
I mean, personally,
what's crazy to me?
Yeah, I wouldn't pick the Brazilian bull, not just based off of like the hype or the battle between the XL and the Brazilian. I just don't see something that I like.
I don't see it either. I don't see that picture with the Brazilian bull, because all I'm seeing is just a big ass dog with a long back and close up eyes. I don't see the standard. I do not see the standard in the Brazilian bull. I see a lot of bone.
I see that rear on the dog kicking 90% of the XL's walking.
I agree. I agree.
See a flat head that blows 90% of the bulls out here. I see shoulders.
I agree that, but it does not look like that picture. Nowhere close. Nowhere close to that picture. Like Hector.
Listen, he doesn't have to. He's not an they have their own standard. Okay, this is why. this is why I decided to pivot. And when you look at my yard, that's why this girl, right? I didn't make her. I bought her. Okay. But that's why this girl, in my opinion, is going to play such a pivotal role in my yard. It's because she fits what I feel to be a lot of breed type. In this picture, she's only 6 months old. Okay. And look at the bully breed type in this girl. Right?
I pick Sunshine any day over that dog.
It's going to take breeders like myself to reset the whole thing, go back to the drawing board, pocket a standard to Excel, and then people are going to be like, oh, yeah, that's what we've been yelling about from the rooftop for the last 5 years, but you're all about the hype.
Here's what
that's the train I'm still on, is doing it that way than bringing in the Brazilian bull all day long.
I agree with you on that one.
First of all, we can't legally, when I say legally, not with the law, but with the registry, within the guidelines of the registry.
But you know people are going to do that shit anyway.
We can't breed the American Bully to the pit monster anyway, unless it's with the dogs that got
You're not supposed to.
in. That's it.
Well, no, there are some that have the American Bully XL paperwork, and Dave Wilson said, what's done is done.
Yeah. They got grandfathered in. That's it. But that's the only one.
Right.
Right. But what we are saying is you can look at the path of the Brazilian bull and see where we went wrong. And we know we're on the right track, breeding out the massive traits. And just to conclude to that, to both of y'all, Jafon and Kyle, I agree. I like the American Bully better. And it's not because of my pride. It's because when I look at the standard American Bully, not the breed standard, but the actual standard class.
Yeah, I like the standard bully.
If we can make a bigger version of where the standard class is
that's
today,
all I'm saying.
Then we got the most beautiful dog on the planet. That's how I feel, period.
Because there are some beautiful standards.
We can learn a lot from the Brazilian bull because we screwed the pooch and they did not. And now we know that that confirms that Raul and I and a few other breeders are on the right track to breed out this Mastiff.
Yes.
That's the only way we can do it.
Man, I just got it in my yard. I just got it over there.
Hey, but you learned, Jafon, you learned the biggest lesson, bro. You learned the biggest lesson when you lose money, and that is do the goddamn research first before you dive in.
Yeah,
period.
I got caught in.
That's the bottom line. Because I'm gonna tell you something, Jafon, you know what's the one thing that never goes out of style?
The standard.
Confirmation. That
it'll always go back.
Picture, I don't care if it's brindle, if it's red, if it's got pink polka dots, never going out of style. But listen, we've definitely gone over our allotted time. I know when we get off, Kyle, please give me a call half hour later to make sure you're safe, because I know you're about to get choked out, man. But either way, it's been an excellent live. Hollywood started up, man.
All I have to do is this. Your boy Hollywood, your boy in the back of the queue, catching you on the next one.
So fun.
Hey man, we here again. I'm with the bullies. We out.
Michael Higginson.
Michael Higginson with QBN Kennel out of Arkansas, man. Your co-host with the most. Money Mike, man. Loved it tonight. Love the back and forth. Love the education, man. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Hey, you already know we do this every Monday, every Friday, 8 p.CST. Jump on the platform that only talks about things nobody dares. It's been Raul from the Q. Be catching you on the next one.
American Bully, that's the dream. From XL bullies to extreme. Pocket standing, not left behind. Bully breeding is a grinder, we don't mind. Pick it up shit, face no posting. Put in the time, we get left behind. Stand on your 2 feet, no joint cross. They grinder with 10 toes down. Some get big headed when they win at a show. Some act like Joe, blow some hype for the dough. Real breeders are humble, you know. Cause they know just cause you won the class don't mean you won the show.